Welcome to the Jefferson Fisher podcast. I've brought you somebody who is not only a personal friend, but somebody you need to listen to. If you're listening to this podcast, I know you do because you want to improve the next conversation. Well, this is somebody who's going to help you do that. This is Vanessa Van Edwards. If she looks familiar to you, it's probably because she's been everywhere. If she's been on anything, it's a million podcasts, and for a good reason. Vanessa is a behavioral investigator, is I think the way she would describe it. She is an author of several books. She's the founder of Science of People. It's a wonderful website that we're going to be talking about later, of how to get into that and get more classes from her. All about how do you talk about charisma? How do you improve first impressions? How do you deal with behavior in conversation that's going to help you enrich your life? Vanessa, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. It's so good to see you, even through the screen.
I know. I was saying earlier, it takes a podcast for us to see each other again. But she's Vanessa and her husband are wonderful and have been good friends throughout this whole experience. While I'm going, hey, Vanessa, you've been on this podcast. How was it? How's it going? What are you doing? And Vanessa she's for sure the veteran. She's the pro in this space.
As someone once told me yesterday, you've just had an overnight success. And I'm like, if overnight success is doing a video a week for 17 years, then yes, I've had overnight success.
For sure. Vanessa, I in this podcast, in this episode, I really want to hone in on some of what I already know is your expertise, but some of the people listening may not know about it. When you meet somebody for the first time as a stranger walking up, you shake their hand, you say hello. What are some of the first things we look for? Where do our eyes go when we are trying to connect with somebody that we don't know?
Yes. This was startling news for me as a recovering awkward person. I'm a recovering awkward person and just always had trouble connecting with people, which is what got me into this work in the beginning. And as an ambivert, somewhere in between introvert and extrovert, I always thought that my first impression happened the moment I started talking. So in a meeting or in a restaurant or at a party, my first impression didn't activate until I said, hello, I'm Vanessa. And unfortunately, I read a study that changed the way I think about first impressions, which said that our first impression happens the moment someone first sees you. And this shocked me and was a little horrifying because it meant that we have to think about the cues that we're sending the moment we walk into a room, the moment we pop on camera, the moment someone else comes into a restaurant or a party. And when they look at eye tracking studies, they find that we focus on, and by the way, most people think we look at the face first, and eye contact is very important. But actually, one of the first places we look is our hands. And this is a kind of a survival mechanism. Back in the day, our caveman days, if we were approached by a stranger caveman, we looked to see if they were going to greet us. Were they going to wave at us? Were they going to throw something at us? Were they carrying a rock or a spear? And so we look at hands first to see intention. And we still do this, even though we no longer are carrying rocks or spears, to see if someone's going to greet us.
Maybe some rocks. But
I like a spear,
Who doesn't like a cool rock?
Yeah, why not make it the next fashion accessory? I'm for it. Yeah. What if I just show up on the podcast just holding a caveman spear?
Yeah, you should have. I should have. How interesting. So it's the hands. It's the hands is what we look for.
It's hands. And by the way, this is a very quick mental checklist. So when humans first meet each other, they're trying to answer two basic questions. Can I trust you? And can I rely on you? The faster you can answer those questions, the better your first impression. So trust comes first. When you say morning and you hold your hand up, palm out, we love seeing a palm. I know that sounds crazy, but the palm is one of the best parts of our body because it shows that we're not hiding anything. So you hop on video, you hop into a restaurant, you wave someone over, morning, hi, nice to see you. You are literally telling the other person, you can see my intention, I am open to you. The next thing we look at is eye contact. We're looking for the face to see if we're going to have any kind of chemical connection. And this is a fancy word for connection is oxytocin. Oxytocin is the chemical of connection, which you know. And we produce it a couple of ways. And humans are addicted to oxytocin. We love when someone can gift us a big burst of oxytocin because it makes us feel calm, it makes us feel connected, it makes us feel like we belong. So the very first way we produce it with another human is eye contact. The moment we mutually gaze, we both begin to produce a little bit of this chemical. And amazingly, research found in COVID that we can even produce it through a webcam. It's less, but we can still produce it. So even on video, hopping on. The mistake I see on video is people, the video pops on, they make an accidental first impression, they're shuffling their papers, they're checking their phone, they don't even make eye contact, maybe they glance up at the camera, oh, morning. Actually, those first few seconds of a visible hands making eye contact, it produces a little bit of that chemical. Then in person, the next way we produce the chemical is some kind of physical touch. Handshake, high five, fist bump, cheek kiss, hug, side hug, any kind of physical touch that's welcome, and that's a whole different issue, that's welcome produces oxytocin. That is going to chemically set you up for success, to have a trust foundation.
So when we see somebody and we're going, I don't know, do we like this person, do we not? Without us even knowing about it, we're looking at them and making these judgments before we even hear their voice. Is that right?
Yes.
And so one of the first things we look at are the hands. So we look at their hands. We look at the you said the palm, definitely the palm. Then what? The eyes, the face.
The eyes and the face. And then now we get into like the more exciting territory. So the next thing that happens is we're looking for reliability cues, right? So the first thing is, can I trust you? Are you going to be open to me? Are you going to acknowledge me? Then we're like, so kind of sussing this person out. Am I going to like what you have to say? You know, are you going to tell me something credible? Can I rely on your opinion or your words? And there's a lot of different ways to show reliability, but one of the first ways is your voice. And this makes sense, by the way, if we think about just how humans interact, it makes sense that we would judge very small cues from across the forest or across the room. Then we're listening for vocal cues. And I think vocal cues are the most underestimated part of our charisma. Your very first word is critical to your entire impression. In fact, researchers find that we decide how confident someone is within 200 milliseconds of hearing you speak. And the reason for this is because our voice holds all kinds of cues that are very difficult to control, but they actually can be calmed on our tension, on our anxiety. So for example, right now I'm working super hard, Jefferson, with you, to keep my voice at its lowest natural pitch. When I get nervous or excited, I tend to go a little higher in my vocal range and I get a little bit of vocal fry. So if I were to do this entire interview like this, it would really drive you crazy. Now, I just manipulated my voice to make it sound anxious. So what's happening is if someone picks up the phone or says hello on Zoom or in a room, if we hear someone with a little bit of anxiety in their voice, we don't want to catch it. And so if we hear tightness, vocal fry, loss of volume, we hear, oh, they feel anxious about what they're about to say, or they're in a state of discomfort. I don't want to catch that discomfort. I can't rely on them. So when you state your first impression, I actually think the most important part of a presentation, a pitch, an interview, a date is how you say hello, which is good news, right? It's only one word
Right.
we have to worry about. And can I tell you the biggest mistake people make with their hello?
Yeah, let me tee it up this way for us.
Yes.
Vanessa, what is the biggest mistake people make when they say hello?
The biggest mistake people make is they are nervous on their first word. And so they take in a deep breath and they hold it all the way up here. And that immediately, when you take in a deep breath and you hold it, it creates fake tension. It creates tension in your vocal cords, your jaw, your mouth, your chest. And that's going to make you sound accidentally anxious. So I want you to hear the mistake that people normally do at the top of their breath. Morning, hello. Where they're all the way at the top of their pitch with a lot of tightness. Instead, what I want you to do is take a deep breath and speak on the out breath. So we can force our vocal cords to relax, our chest, our jaw to relax when we speak on the out breath. So try this with me. So Jefferson, take in a deep breath and I want you to say hello at the top of your breath. Ready? Hello.
Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Hi.
So that
That
is,
doesn't even feel good.
it feels terrible. It feels terrible. And also I would not rely on you as much, right? If you opened up a call
I wouldn't
with
rely on me either. Yeah, no.
Like, who was that?
Yeah,
was
who's that
terrible.
guy? That doesn't even feel good.
So I would love for you to do this wherever you are right now, so you can hear what you sound like when you're your most anxious. I know what I sound like, and sometimes my voice cues me before my body. I'll hear my voice go into that range. I know what that sounds like, and I go, oh, mentally, okay, time to, and this is when I take in a couple deep breaths and I speak on the out breath. So here's the difference, then we'll try it together. So this is on the intake. Hello. This is on the outtake. Hello. So two totally different sounding hellos, even though I'm the same person, right? I sounded like a different person, right, Jefferson? Does that sound different to you?
Yeah. Hello. What's your name? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Who is
Yeah.
that? Is that
Yeah. Is that
Vanessa?
Vanessa? I'm looking for,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so
No,
Jefferson, try it on the out breath. So take in a deep breath and speak on the
okay,
out
here we
breath.
go. Hello.
No, you still had breath. I saw
Yeah,
you
yeah,
go,
yeah. Sorry.
hello.
I couldn't do it.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
show you again.
Okay.
I'll show you
Here we go.
again. I'll show you again. Okay.
It's
So on
okay.
the
Let's
out
see
breath.
it.
So first take a couple deep breaths. Take a
Okay.
couple deep breaths. I embarrassed Jefferson. I can see the redness. I can see the
Yeah.
redness. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
this is the best part about doing a podcast with a friend is I can make Jefferson do anything I want right now. Like what if this wasn't even a real exercise?
She's the guest, so yeah. Just wait till I turn this back around. Is what I
I
gotta
know,
say.
no. What if I was like, now take a banana and swing it
Yeah.
around your head?
Yeah.
That's going to be, oh, okay. So this is a real exercise. Okay. So on the out breath, we go, hello.
Hello.
Oh, yes. Didn't that sound
Do you like
good?
that? That sound confident?
That sounded so good. Oh, goodness. You're like, did that sound confident? So I
Yeah.
want you to play with this, right? Like you're going to find your lowest natural range. Let's take a step back for a second.
Okay.
The reason why this is important is because I don't want you to accidentally give away your vocal charisma. We accidentally do this when we are accidentally holding our breath, or sometimes it can happen with tension in our body. So I often see, and women tend to do this more than men, but both, and also children do this a lot, where we hunch our shoulders up, we tilt our chin down, and we go, morning.
Yeah.
And we take up as little space as possible. When we take up as little space as possible, it also accidentally creates tension. So the entire goal here is you are already confident. You're going into your calls or your dates. You want to be your best self. Let's show it. So going into your lowest natural range. And the second thing is that we don't want to ask our name. So this often happens, especially in important
Right.
business presentations or pitches, where we accidentally use the question inflection on a statement. A question inflection is when we go up at the end of our sentence. So instead of asking, we're stating. So instead of stating, we're asking. So someone says, good morning, I'm Vanessa. Nice to be here.
Yeah.
And not only is this very annoying, but what it actually is doing is liars typically use the question inflection. And that is because they know what they're saying is not true. And so accidentally, they are asking you, do you believe this? And our brain knows this. They found that when we hear an accidental question inflection used on a statement, our brain goes from listening to scrutinizing. And so what happens is in this first few seconds of a first impression, we say hello, and then we ask our name. That is the fastest way to tell someone, you can't rely on me. I'm questioning me, you should question me too.
This podcast is sponsored by Cozy Earth. I love Cozy Earth because I use their stuff. I say it all the time, but it's true. Their sheets are on my bed right now. I live in Texas. It is sweltering hot. It is so humid. My gosh. But the one thing that I love and I look forward to anytime I'm traveling, I'm like, I know I'm going to be sleeping in my own bed. Well, part of that is because of the sheets that are on it. You can go to cozyearth.com/Jefferson. Use the code Jefferson for 40% off. They, to me, are the premier maker of all things bed sheets related and any cozy, comfy wear that you like. And on top of that, they have a 100-night guarantee trial for you to try on the sheets. 100 nights to try it. If you don't like it, you take them right back, but you're not going to want to do that. Go to cozyearth.com/Jefferson. Use the code Jefferson for 40% off. So we talked about hands. We talked about eyes and face. We talked about how just within milliseconds, we're already judging, assessing somebody up to see if, can we trust them? Can we not trust them? You use a lot of the word reliability. Can I rely on you? We talked about some of the ways that pulls down reliability, lessens it, is when you keep your voice up in that high range, when you're not breathing, taking that full breath, and what you said, speaking on the out breath, and then also in our shoulders, making us feel very small. And when you have that upward inflection, it sounds like you do not have the confidence, like you don't want to, I'm an inconvenience to everybody here. Like somebody who's introducing themselves and they hunch their shoulders and like, hi, like this, hi, hello, like, please don't look at me. I don't want to hear anything. I don't exist. Those are all ways that not only, I think, affect what we judge somebody on first impression. I'm curious to keep going on this line, Vanessa. what can somebody do listening right now? Can they do to improve their charisma on somebody? If we can define what charisma is, that would be cool, because we feel it more than we know it. Like there's something about this person. I just like them. You might say they have charisma. People tend to like this particular person. What is charisma to you, and what are some ways that we can improve on it?
I love very charismatic people. In fact, one of the earliest studies I did in my career was studying highly charismatic people, where I did a very simple experiment. I asked people, what is charisma? So they came into my lab. I said, what is charisma? And it was amazing how hard it was for people to answer that question. On average, it took people about 15 seconds to answer that question, 15.7 seconds. And they often could not come up with a very steady definition of it. And it varied widely. The second question we asked was, who is the most charismatic person you know? This question was super easy for people to answer. It took people less than 3 seconds to answer that question. They could immediately think of, a parent or a teacher or a friend or a boss. And I thought, exactly as you said, charisma is this very hard thing to define, yet we know it the moment we see it. And that made me think for a long time that charisma, you had to be born with it. It was an innate trait. You either had it or you didn't. And I said, well, I don't have it. So there's that. And then I discovered a study, this is by Dr. Susan Fisk at Princeton University, who did a groundbreaking study on how we come across to others. And what she found was that we often think of charisma as very extroverted, very bubbly, very positive, maybe even smarter or more athletic or funny. Those are all words that came up in that, what is charisma? But actually, thank goodness, it has nothing to do with our attractiveness or our humor. It actually has to do with our warmth and competence. Specifically, very highly charismatic people, what makes someone very highly charismatic is they are off the charts in signaling warmth and off the charts in signaling competence. And I use the word signaling very specifically because you could be the warmest, most competent person out there, but if you are not showcasing it, people don't believe it. And so highly warm and competent people, and it comes at the same time. So highly warm folks are cueing others for trust, likability, and openness, friendliness. We want to be around them. We want to open up to them. We want to talk to them. On the other side, they're also signaling high competence, credibility, efficiency, productivity. In other words, highly charismatic people very quickly answer the questions, you can trust me and you can rely on me. The problem is, the reason why these charismatic people are so rare is that most of us showcase an imbalance. We showcase too much warmth or too much competence. And let's start with competence, because I think that most people listening to this podcast are highly smart. And this is the problem, this is the plague of highly smart people. Highly smart people have great ideas. This is most of my students. They are off the charts, talented, very brilliant. And they think that their book smarts, their preparation, their work ethic, their great ideas will stand by themselves. And so they showcase lots and lots of competence. They go into an interview signaling credibility and productivity and efficiency. They walk on stage or do a presentation or a pitch with lots of great numbers and beautiful slides and a really great business plan. But what the research says, and this is a quote from the research, competence without warmth is likely to leave us feeling suspicious. No matter how good your idea is, if you can't showcase it with warmth, people will not believe it. And so they show up with all these competence signals, but people see they're intimidating, cold, hard to talk to. They get this gut feeling of like, I just don't get a good feeling. Competent folks need to learn how to cue warmth along with their ideas for people to believe them. On the other side, we have folks who have very, very high signals of warmth, but they don't showcase enough of their competence. And this is the plague of people pleasers. And I am also a recovering people pleaser. We're highly warm folks. We really want people to like us. We are very focused on being liked. Competent folks want to be right. So they want to make sure they're in the know. In fact, you're in a relationship with a highly competent person. My husband is off the charts competence if they constantly Google fact check you. That's how you know you're in a relationship with a highly competent person, because they are more focused on being right and less focused on being liked. Highly warm folks want to be liked, and they often will put likability over credibility. So they'll sacrifice their respect or credibility just so people will like them. And here's what happens when you do that. When you signal lots and lots of warmth, People love to open up to you. In fact, you know that you're high open if people love to tell you their life story. It means you are signaling, you are broadcasting, open up to me. Tell me everything. Highly warm folks, one of my friends is highly warm, and no matter whenever she sits on an airplane, the person next to her tells them their life story for the entire flight because she is signaling.
I know
so much
people
warmth.
like that. Yeah, you get in a conversation with them, and then 40 minutes go by, and you're like, what just happened? They just made me say everything.
Yes. And that is because verbally, vocally, non-verbally, and by the way, there's 4 ways that we signal these, 4 channels. They are signaling to you, tell me everything, Jefferson, and you just feel like you can do it. Here's the problem. Highly warm folks make wonderful friends and wonderful partners, but we don't always take them seriously. So warm leaders, they struggle with the same things. People interrupt them in meetings. They aren't paid what they're worth. They have trouble closing. They have trouble negotiating. And when it comes to their ideas, people like the person, but don't always take their ideas seriously. So the reason why we love highly charismatic people is they're able to say both, you can trust me and you can rely on me. And I think this is the foundation of every single one of our relationships. All of our people problems, all of our communication patterns, all of our miscommunications happen because of an imbalance between warmth and competence.
I like that. I find that no doubt when you meet somebody, you can, like we talked about earlier, within a few seconds, you're like, there's something about this person I don't like. I don't know if I can put my finger on it, but I like how it's like you meet them and without knowing it, your eyes might look at what they're wearing or how they smile, or you look at the corners of their eyes, or your brain is kind of like doing these subliminal like check marks of like, I like this person, I like this person, I like this.
Yes, it's like these micro calculations. And actually, I think that there's the biggest reason we don't like people is actually because they're muting. Muting or under signaling is the thing that drives us the most crazy as a human. So yes, we might be picking up on negative signals, and there are about 27 different negative cues we don't like, which we can talk about. But